Hey, what's going on, guys? I have another flashlight to review for you today. Right now we're looking at the Thrunite model T30S V2. Now the V2 stands for version 2 or generation 2. Any way you look at it, it is the upgraded version. I never had the original T30S. Apparently it had a 650 lumen output. This new model has an 860 lumen output, so quite a bump in the lumen department. As far as the LED, we have the XM-L2U2. Take a look real quick here. The business end of the flashlight, you can see that perfectly smooth reflector. Even though it does have a smooth reflector and it's not stippled or anything or orange peeled, perfectly smooth beam. No issues at all with any kind of artifacts or anything like that. I find that this light is definitely leaning more towards the defensive or tactical arena of stuff as opposed to like an EDC light. Of course, you can EDC any flashlight you can comfortably carry, but this one definitely has attributes that's better suited for a defensive application, such as maybe a security guard's flashlight or maybe a flashlight to keep in your vehicle in case you're out and about during the nightlife. You want something that's going to have a little bit more versatility, and it's not just a flashlight. You can use it for a striking implement as well. As far as price on these, $49.95 if you get it through Amazon. I'm going to put a link in the description box. If you're looking for any kind of Thrunite flashlight, what I like about Thrunite, I've talked about it before in past videos, the fact that they sell direct. They don't have, different suppliers. It's just they make the flashlights and they sell them right out of the factory in their warehouses and stuff. That's why the prices are a little bit cheaper. If you go to their Amazon page, that is the cheapest you're going to find these. So although you will find them all over the place, little warning though, if you're going to get this particular light on like eBay or if you're buying it used in the forums, be sure you're getting the newer model. What happens oftentimes, especially with flashlights, like this is the T30S V2, right? It's the version 2. If you look up this light, if you just type in T30S, you're like, oh, what a great price. Make sure it's the new version because you will find the original versions cheaper now because there's something bigger and better. So make sure it's the V2 model, all right? I know some people get disappointed by that. They'll find a really good cheap price on something. It could happen with knives too or pretty much anything. And it's an original version, not the upgraded version, all right? Something to look out for. But anyway, let's see what comes with this light as far as accessories. There is one thing I did like about these, about the accessories, a little bit of an upgrade. Actually, I'll show it right now. I've always touted their sheaths as having a little bit better quality than all the other flashlight companies. This newer sheath with this model has the button snap on here. Again, I never had the first one, so I don't know if the first generation had this, but I like this a lot. Basically, we have a connection point right here, which is sewn in, okay? So you basically put your belt through here for belt carry or any kind of strap to your bag, whatever. That's a permanent strap. Then you have the quick strap, so you don't have to take your belt off in order to put this on something. But it has Velcro, and if you've ever used Velcro, like actually use your gear, you didn't just buy it and put it in the drawer or show it off. If you go outside and you use your stuff, you're gonna find that lint and dirt and grime and fuzz and all kinds of stuff fills in Velcro, and Velcro becomes completely useless, particularly in the wintertime with snow. Okay, it's very easy to slip on the ice and fall into a snowbank or into your driveway or whatever. This stuff packs up with snow, it's useless. It's not sticking to anything anymore. All right, so I've always advocated if there's any kind of Velcro strap on a piece of gear to have a button snap. So if this becomes completely useless, it'll still actually close on you, okay? So I like that. Again, I don't know if the first generation had that same sheath, but I do like that button snap on there. It makes the world of a difference, all right? It's always in the details. Again, I don't use these, as you guys know, if you watch the flashlight reviews. I will use them just once or twice just for review purposes, make sure nothing's funky going on with them, if there's any issues. But I do like the quality. It works perfectly fine. As you can see, it holds the flashlight totally fine. All right, and these are held. There's no button snap on the front with that Velcro, but it is held in the vertical position, so gravity's keeping the light in there, so it shouldn't be an issue. But this would be an issue if they didn't have a snap on there. So anyway, besides the sheath, we have our lanyard. All right, I've always said these are better quality lanyards. Again, don't use these wrist lanyards. The nice part about these are these adjustment points here. So you put it on your wrist, and of course, push the buttons to slide it. Get a nice tight fit if you were using these. You can use these for all kinds of things. You can use these for your keys. You don't have to put them on your flashlight. I do still save all these with my flashlights. I do find other applications for them. Besides that, we have our O-rings. You can tell in this model, the O-rings are really beefed up. They're extra thick. All right, same with the ones that are actually on them. I'm gonna talk about that in a second. But also you get a rubber boot with this one. You don't get a lot of the Thrunite models don't come with an extra button. In this particular model, because it's more of a tactical or defensive model, that button is exposed. You can see it's sticking up. There's nothing around, there's no ring or cage or anything like that. So you have a little bit more of a chance of snagging it on something, maybe tearing it. Again, extremely rare. But if you do tear it, you have a replacement here, okay? The downside, obviously, to having the button exposed is that it will not tail stand, okay? Again, not necessarily a survival or EDC light. It's more purposeful in a defensive situation, okay? Not having anything like that, the negative obviously won't tail stand, but the positive is it's a lot easier to get to that button in an emergency situation. You just can't miss it. And the last thing is, obviously, get your paperwork as well. But we have a battery tube. This is basically a spacer piece. This runs on one 18650 rechargeable battery or two CR123s. As most 18650s do, you have the option of the CR123s. If you are using those, this little spacer just takes up the space around the battery so it doesn't rattle. Okay, there's such a slight difference in diameter on the two different battery styles that if you use CR123s without this, and you shake it, you might hear a little bit of a clicky noise. It's just the battery's kind of moving back and forth very slightly. This eliminates that, okay? So although it's a very simple thing, it's just a plastic tube, it does aid in that. So if you're using the CR123s, it won't make any noise on you. So, on to the light. There is a cigar ring or tactical ring on here. You can see right here. Call it a cigar ring because there's a lot of different tactical applications you can use with or without a pistol. And you can use it in this cigar grip, is what it's called. It just gives you more versatility, again, for a tactical situation as opposed to just an everyday light you could use. It is completely removable if you didn't want it. Basically take the tail cap off, all right, and unscrew it. It will screw off. The one thing I wanted to mention is those beefed up O-rings. It will prevent this from coming off, so you have to take the O-ring off first before you unscrew this because obviously this uses the threading that's on the body here. All right, pocket clip on the side works beautifully. You do need to take the cigar clip off in order to take this off. Okay, if I unscrew this a little bit more, you can maybe see in there, it goes halfway around. Okay, so the pocket clip is easily removable. But if you want to keep the pocket clip on by tightening this ring down, it keeps it even more secure so it's not going to pop off. And some models, if you really hyperextended that clip, like let's say it's clipped to your pocket, and the flashlight's on the outside of the pocket and it got snagged on something, it will pull the pocket clip off and you could lose your flashlight. Again, extremely, extremely rare situation, but it is nice that kind of reinforces that. There's a lot of cool features on flashlights these days, but I do like the more simplified ones, the ones that are just easy for anyone to pick up and get a hang of. You can see there is a side button on here. What makes this more tactical to me and more of a defensive option is the fact that there's a crenulated bezel that's a little bit deeper. There's deeper cuts in here, so these points stick out a little bit more. It's much better for striking. Okay, if you happen to use this for an impact weapon, it's much more effective than something obviously that's not as deep or more flattened. But the other thing too is that at any given time you can hit that button here on the side for strobe. Okay, for momentary strobe, just as long as you hold the button down, it'll stay on. Same thing if you hold it on for a longer period of time. So the quick access to strobe and that crenulated or deeper crenulated bezel is what leads this to be more of a defensive option. As far as an EDC light, it's not that bad as far as size. A lot of people carry these, but I do prefer the smaller lights like the T20 models, the T10s. Those are much better in my opinion for an everyday carry light. Obviously, you're not gonna have this in your pocket all the time. It was a bit bigger and chunkier. But again, you know, pros and cons depending on what kind of flashlight you're looking for and what you're gonna do with it. Tail clicky on the back. So like a lot of flashlights, put it in just a little bit or push it in just a tiny bit for momentary on. Okay, so when you let go, the flashlight will go off, or click it for constant on. And then the side button is how you change your modes. Very, very simple. So we have four modes, including the strobe. The first mode here is low. It's only 5 lumens. You get a 20-hour runtime. Right? Then it bumps up to medium, 186 lumens for 7 hours, or the full 860 lumens for an hour and 10 minutes. Okay, strobe would just double that. In any mode you're on, whether it's low, medium, or high, okay, at any point while the flashlight's on, you can do a long hold, and that will go right to strobe as well. Okay. All right, I want to focus a little bit on the strobe mode on this, and strobe in general. I think strobe is a very underrated and very overlooked solid option for defensive situations. I think more times than not, when you're talking about defense, people automatically assume like the worst, like someone pulls a knife on you, they want to rob you, it's a horrible situation. I think more times than not, you get into altercations with people, and it just becomes a physical conflict, but it's never that severe. You know what I mean? I think it's rare that someone pulls a knife or gun on you, where it's more common where someone just wants to fight you. They want to punch you or beat you up or something like that. They don't want to kill you. You know, they don't want to maim you for life. They just want to, you know, maybe beat you up. There's a lot of situations like that. Maybe you get, you know, some kind of road rage, you get out of your car, maybe you bump into someone in the street. Who knows what the situation is, but oftentimes people will automatically assume, you know, a good weapon is a knife or a gun. And there's only certain situations where I think that's really called for. When your life is being threatened, you may want a knife or a gun. But when your knife is not being threatened, but you are being physically threatened, something like mace or pepper spray or a very strong, powerful flashlight is a very good option. Because number one, you're not permanently damaging or hurting the other person. By using strobe on someone, you're not going to blind them. You're going to temporarily disable their vision, okay? Even during the day, something like this, 860 lumens, will disorient someone. All right, you pull this out, put it right in someone's face and throw that strobe on, 860 lumens, even on a sunny day, will mess up their eyesight for enough time for you to get away from a situation. And I just think people automatically assume the worst, and they want a more effective weapon. But by having a more effective weapon, what I mean by that is something that's more damaging, you do have to deal with the legal repercussions and the fact that some people just don't want to hurt other people. You know, you could be being threatened, and there's a lot of people out there that aren't comfortable cutting someone or aren't comfortable pointing a gun at someone. All right, if you're really one of those people, I don't think you necessarily have to be completely unarmed. If you're very much a pacifist and you don't want to hurt anyone, I think something like this would be, you know, more beneficial to you than anyone else. Having a flashlight won't hurt anyone, but it will give you a fighting chance to get away from a bad situation. And like I said, I can make a whole video just on that. It shouldn't be in this review, but I want to just point out the fact that I feel very strongly about having a good bright flashlight with a good function. You know, strobe on a light is very much overlooked. I think it's just a really awesome feature. And flashlights like this that have it so easily accessible, you know, sometimes there's a strobe mode on a flashlight, but it's hard to get to. You got to twist this and poke that, and, you know, in a stressful situation, forget it. You're not going to remember that. Even if your muscle memory is good, even if you've had that flashlight for 2 years and you know exactly where that mode is, things happen like that. All right. In this case, the button is right there, and you can get to it like that in an emergency situation. So that's where the benefit comes out in this light. That's where this light's attributes really shine, no pun intended. But that quick button on the side, right to strobe, is very beneficial, in addition to that striking bezel, okay, for a defensive option. So again, you know, not to beat a dead horse here, but this to me is a really good defensive option for a flashlight. Best EDC light? No, not at all. I think it's too big and heavy and just a little bit cumbersome for an EDC light. Only because of myself, my personal needs. I carry so many other things that it's too big for me. If you only carry your wallet and your cell phone, then maybe this size is no big deal. You can clip this in the inside of your pocket, rock it all day long. Unfortunately, I can't because I have so many other pieces of gear on me at any given time. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. Post your comments down below, but that's my thoughts and my review on the Thrunite T30S V2. I think it's very cool. Again, I didn't have the first one to really compare with the original, but it's a pretty badass light. I like it. So I hope you guys have an awesome day, and I will see you soon. Take care.